I like to listen when Nick Bosa speaks because there's not much filler, and his comments after the game were pretty telling. So Bosa pretty much said, hey, like, we were in position, we just didn't make the plays. He did have some choice words or some pointed words at some of Steve Wilks' blitzes, and we're going to go over those. We're going to see who was to blame because, there's a lot of finger pointing going on. But I tend to agree with Bosa where, like, it seems like Wilks was at fault, but there are guys in positions to make plays, and they just didn't do that. So wasn't the 49ers defense that we're used to seeing. So let's go over the film. Let's see what really happened, and we'll go from there. All right, first possession, bottom of the screen, Mooney Ward, interception. So as you know, like, he gave the big play toward the end of that first half, and he's going to receive a lot of flack for that. There are also a couple penalties. But I thought overall he played pretty well. You can see here, I mean, that's just good feet, right? Not falling for the first move, stay square, gets a hand on, and then just plays bully ball and ends up taking it away from rookie Jordan Addison. Overall on the day, so Ward was targeted 7 times, and it's 83 yards, but 60 came on one play. So giving up 4 receptions for 23 yards, that is a great day. But there's always that asterisk where, there's that touchdown. But I really think that he is an effective corner. Not so sure that we can say the same about the other two. So the real story of the game was the defense, their inability to get off the field. This is 3rd and 12. Let's watch this play itself out, and let's talk through some of the coverage rules. The Vikings, so Kevin O'Connell, he was on Sean McVay's staff for, I believe, 5, 6, 7 years. This is a Sean McVay offense, and I think maybe the most frustrating part for the 49ers is probably that they see this offense every day, and they were confused, or I guess they fell for a lot of the tricks that they see every day. So on this play, 3rd and 12, Fred Warner gives so much ground. So the big part, if we really want to point the blame, 3rd and 12, and the 49ers give up first down. The Vikings at one point converted 7 of 10 third downs. They ended up 8 for 13, but like, that just cannot happen, especially against an offense where they're missing their best player. So top of the screen, he's not really in the picture. He's manned up. Dre Greenlaw has the running back out. I believe Talanoa Funga is deep, so we have deep 3rd. He goes to the middle. He has this strong hook area. And then Fred Warner, as I mentioned, like, he is usually responsible for the number 3 wide receiver. That is TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson acts like he's blocking a little bit. Okay. So right now, there's no other receiver in his area, right, to relate to. Gibson has a deep. Ward has this receiver. Man. So it's 3rd and 12. And I'm telling Fred Warner what to do. Like, think about that. Still, if I'm a coach, he needs to be coached just like everybody else. Just relate to Hawkinson, make a tackle. Maybe he doesn't throw it. Maybe it's contested. Maybe you make the tackle as soon as the ball's caught, and he's short. But giving this much ground on 3rd and 12 when there are no other receivers in your area is just like a head scratcher. And like, we're talking about 54, which just does not happen. It's a weird one, I would say, for 54, and you'll see that throughout the course of this breakdown. So I don't think the Vikings ran the ball particularly well, or as well as it seemed. So they had a couple gashes in the first half, but you watch the defensive end to the bottom of the screen here. Like, this is not 49ers football. That's Drake Jackson, and he did not have a lot of snaps, and plays like that are why. So he faces a double team. Obviously, he gets from the tackle here. He's going to block him, but you have to stay on your feet there like that. You can't put those type of plays on film, or else teams are just going to run right at you every time, and that's kind of what happened when Drake was in the game. So I mentioned McVay offense, right? So this is a Shanahan special, just a high-low concept where they're going to run the slot receiver across the middle. They're going to run the tight end across the middle, and they're basically going to, right again, McVay, Shanahan, like, this is their specialty right there. They're going to run high-lows all the time. They're going to have an underneath wide receiver hold the underneath coverage. You're going to have, I believe the running back runs up and sits over the ball. And then the tight end, TJ Hawkinson, he's going to cross the middle. And then we're going to have the wide receiver, the slot wide receiver, go all the way across there. Coverage-wise, the 49ers play this well. Bottom of the screen, Mooney Ward, he doesn't chase. He does his job. He does a good job of, look, he passes this route off and falls off to the other crosser. To the top of the screen, that's Orrin Burks. He needs to understand All right, I'm getting to my drop. I'm getting to my zone. There's nobody there, right? So as soon as I understand that all the receivers are past me, there's nobody underneath, I just need to get my eyes and relate to the next wide receiver in my zone. It has to be him, right? And this is a good job playing on time. We always talk about that, Kirk Cousins. But if he just reacts a little sooner, maybe he breaks up this pass. He's staring at the quarterback. He's staring in the backfield, so he has no idea the routes around him. And because of that, like that split second, that full second, that just hesitation right there is the difference between an incomplete pass, a pass breakup, and a big play. Thought early on here, the Vikings did a good job of just manipulating some of the 49ers rules. So they're going to run split zone, and that just means this tight end is going to come across the formation and block the defensive end, and it's just inside zone. But since the back's on the same side, he's probably going to kick out right here. Because the 49ers are in man coverage, and the Vikings know this, when Hawkinson goes across the formation, watch what Tayshaun Gibson does. Like, that's his man, so he has to go. So instantly, you lose a body in the run, so you lose your run fit. And if you watch Fred Warner, who's right next to Tayshaun Gibson, that hop right there inside allows the lineman to down block him, and it's over. It's a wrap, right? That's a really tough tackle to make. It's easy to press pause and say, hey, make that tackle, but like more often than not, this is not a play that most defensive tackles are going to be able to make. So again, just the numbers game, manipulating the defense, and you get another explosive run. There's been some criticism about 97, and he does a lot of that because he's not generating sacks. I think it might come off that, Bosa's not playing well. Bosa's not living up to his contract, but he plays his butt off. He is making a lot of plays against the run. He came close to some sacks, and I know, sacks are king. But just to have a takeaway that he's not playing well just is off base. He's playing very well. It's 2nd and 2 right here, and they end up forcing 3rd and 2. However, 3rd and 2, very next play. So, Vikings, again, they're going to manipulate what the 49ers want to do. This is the touchdown. These are just dirty eyes, bad eyes, right? You can say, so 3 receivers, they're going to play 3 over 3. I believe Warner gets out of there. Yeah, he has TJ Hawkinson, who's a tight end, drives there. So if I'm Tayshaun Gibson, let's focus on just the free safety, right? And it looks like to me, he has a deep third, and he's protecting the middle of the field. So if I'm just watching Tayshaun Gibson, okay, I'm not going to be able to make this play. I have a receiver here. I got to be over here sooner. He's a step late. All right, now let's go back to Dre Greenlaw. This is going to be a very difficult coverage for any linebacker to get there. And again, like when they are manipulating the rules, and we're going to have Fred Warner on TJ Hawkinson, that puts more of the onus on Dre Greenlaw to cover ground. So let's watch how Dre Greenlaw plays this. What am I guarding? What am I doing? Who am I guarding? So he recognizes the deep over route, but it's a step late. It seems like that was the theme here, where 49ers were just a step behind coverage-wise. I need to know, I need to get to 2 right away. Like, I need to open up and run this, and it was a perfect pass. But both the linebacker and the safety just aren't where they need to be. I imagine it's their eyes. Let's see if we can see it from here. But they're just a step slow to react on this play. That's the difference between, again, 3rd and 2, incomplete pass. Maybe they go for it on 4th down and they don't get it. Hold them to a field goal. Instead, like that little hesitation right here, just being late to recognize, was the difference. And the Vikings were able to score. Again, that's a perfect pass. All right, so it's 2nd and 9. Just made a play on 1st down, force a long down and distance. Nothing that I've shown so far really feels like a Steve Wilks issue. On this play, you have your best player in the hole, one-on-one, with a running back. Dead to rights right there, right? Should be 3rd and 7. Maybe you are able to get off the field, but instead, falls off the tackle twice, and you get a 1st down on a play that really, like, that's when does Fred Warner ever miss these kind of tackles? He does a really good job of coming downhill, beats the block, has the running back wrapped up dead to rights. And instead of third and 7, it's first down. Maybe Bosa makes that, and it's 3rd and 4, and you still get an obvious passing situation. But 9 missed tackles on the night. That was followed up by 10 last week. Back-to-back poor tackling outings from the 49ers is definitely not something we're used to seeing either. So again, I can't blame Wilks for that. Okay, so it's 3rd and 10, and this is after Bosa drew a holding. This is after the throwback screen was called back. And really, this is just a good call by the Vikings, and sometimes the offense gets the best of you. So the Vikings are going to run a screen right into the blitz. Not much you can do there. And this is maybe where Bosa's comments about, being a blitz-heavy team or only rushing 4. Maybe if Greenlaw, who actually made a play later in the game on a perfect play on a screen, maybe if he's not blitzing here, he's able to make the tackle. Maybe if both of those guys who are coming. So you're bringing a safety from depth, which is definitely new for the 49ers. Maybe he's able to make the tackle and, again, either hold the Vikings to a field goal. Maybe they go for it on 4th down. You get a stop. Either way, the timing of these blitzes, like if you're going to wait till 3rd down when everybody knows you're going to blitz, I could see why that would be upsetting, especially for, the front, because that's just not what they've done. That's not how they've been successful. So after all that, 1st down, Kevin Givens makes a great tackle for loss on 1st down. Kirk Cousins airmails the throw on 2nd down. And then Fred Warner gets into the throwing lane on 3rd down, and they hold the Vikings to a field goal. These are the type of plays where it really helps to have a heady linebacker like that. But it's been a struggle so far through a couple possessions, and the Vikings only have 10 points. So before the big play, this is before the end of the half, as you can see, Fred Warner is away from T.J. Hockenson because the Vikings know this. He's going to line up to there's a wide receiver out here out of the picture. So what the Vikings do is they just isolate their best against a non-Fred Warner linebacker. And if you just kind of watch the pass rush at the same time, obviously Greenlaw gets beat. So 2nd and 8, they get a 1st down here. But it seemed like the 49ers, they did a decent job of at least pushing the pocket. Like Bosa comes very close to a sack right there. 1, 2, 3. The back foot hits, and he is diving at the quarterback. So they're getting pressure, and they're not getting home. And these are the difference between pressures and sacks. Pressures can lead to 1st downs, sacks in drives. Okay, here we go. 17 seconds left. Vikings have no timeouts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the eligibles. Everybody's coming. It looks like it, right? So sometimes the 49ers, they'll mug both of these linebackers in the A-gap, and one of them will fall off. As you can see here, Fred Warner does. So this is what's confusing to me. And this is my biggest gripe. Like, blitzing the house in general when the other team has no timeouts is an egregious error. Like, you cannot do that. You have to make the offense snap the ball again. But if you are going to blitz, what is the point of having an underneath defender as opposed to, let's say, so he's manned up on number 2. Lenore's on number 1. He's manned up. He blitzes. Why not have this hypothetical defender be one of the safeties, right? And have the deep help. That way, if they do complete a pass, the safety is there to make a tackle. Instead, you have a blitz on, which, not great, but you have underneath help with 17 seconds. Like, that does not register at all. Like, I'm not understanding what the idea was behind this, knowing the situation. The risk just wasn't worth the reward. And if we're just watching Mooney to the top, that's an incredible speed turn, by the way. So, like, he's a very good cover corner. Great speed turn. Has the ball in his hands. Addison rips it away from him. Okay. The safety's there, hypothetically, right, to make a tackle. And now the Vikings are scrambling to spike the ball with 6-5. Maybe they don't even get the spike off. And the 49ers go into the half. But instead, really head-scratching play. Like, probably is, like, maybe we can drop the probably. This was his worst call of the year. Just situational-wise, like, you have to make the offense snap the ball again. You have to. The other part is, like, if you're going to bring that many rushers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he's hugging, he has a back, so he's caught in no man's land because they fake it, or he comes the other way, so probably he should be going. Like, you have to get home. Look at this. Bosa walks the tight end back into the quarterback's lap. Nobody else comes close to winning. So you're bringing that many rushers, leaving your secondary susceptible, and it ends up being a touchdown, which honestly was the difference in the game. Bad call. All right, so we're into the second half here, and as the game went along, the Vikings really started to pick on the corners. Bottom of the screen, Lenoir, 49ers are in man coverage across the board. He's just running parallel with the wide receiver. And honestly, that is, if we focus on, let's focus on Hufanga here. This is pretty incredible just as far as instincts goes, for him to understand, like, how did he know that the ball was out there? So for him to make the tackle is big because it could have been an even bigger play. But if I'm coaching up Lenoir, receivers running vertical, like, he needs to close the gap, eliminate the space between you and the wide receiver. That way, when he does break right here, it's a contested catch. Like, I'm at least there to make a tackle, but just running straight with him, knowing that this is man. How do I know this is man? Because there are no defenders underneath, and you have Tayshaun Gibson running here. So, not sure why this is going on, but this can't happen, especially, with the receivers the 49ers have coming up on the schedule. But, like, this is how it looked in the second half, where either they weren't in position, or when they were, they didn't make a play as far as the corners go. All right, another blitz, another play where the 49ers are not in position. Bottom of the screen here, they're manned up. Tayshaun Gibson has the point. Isaiah Oliver is taking him all the way until he motions out. So now they do a good job of discussing. So off coverage, and I mean, they're hardly in the screen, but when you're in off coverage against the blitz, you have to understand these routes are going to come hot, right? Like, he is going to get rid of the ball quickly. So if I'm Lenoir, like, I don't have time to back up like that. You're already at different levels. That way you don't get picked off. So he has to just stay flat-footed. And as soon as he gets, like, he had to really break down. Watch this route. Like, he comes to a complete stop almost. So he needs to be driving. And it's not an easy play, but the space was just way too much. This is probably the play that... All right, here we go. Top of the screen. Mooney Ward against a wide receiver named Brandon Powell. Does he get pushed? Probably. But they're not going to call that, and we know that. So I believe he got flagged for some kind of penalty, and he thinks he got pushed, but I think they called illegal contact on Mooney there. But, like, in the third quarter, 49ers couldn't get off the field. And this was second and long. So as much as we talked about third downs, like, second downs, they didn't do too well either. And just a strange game because no Justin Jefferson, right? And it didn't matter. So a couple plays later, Lenoir got called for a defensive pass interference, and that's how the Vikings got down near the goal line and were able to punch that into. Okay, this is after the pass interference where the Vikings got the ball on the 1-yard line after Lenoir committed foul. I didn't think it was. I mean, the officials let them play through a lot more. But anyway, so the 49ers, they're playing red 2. So cover 2 to the bottom of the screen and the top. Red 2 just means, honestly, the safeties have more ground to cover, and the corners are responsible for underneath. But if there are no underneath routes, you have to relate to somebody else. So we're watching Lenoir, right? There's number 2. He eliminates himself. That's my only threat, right? Look at the formation. It's trips away, back away. Well, wide receiver, but anyway. Corner, tight end goes away. So immediately his eyes need to relate to one of these guys coming across the field. Defensively, if somebody's leaving, somebody's coming back. Like, that's 101. So he is late to recognize, and if this throw isn't errant, this is probably a touchdown. In my mind, this should be an interception because I don't think Cousins has any clue that there's a defender right here. Maybe he knows late, but I think he's more avoiding. He throws behind because of Gibson, not so much Lenore. If Lenore relates to the wide receiver right away, he probably is able to run underneath that throw for an interception. So to me, that's a good call by Wilks. Like, he has a coverage where they can cover the crossers. And yeah, I don't think Cousins sees Lenore at all from this angle. Like, or just acknowledges him. Pretty fortunate. 2 red zone trips inside the 5, and the Vikings come away with 6 points. Like, is that sustainable? All right, it's 3rd and 5. Real quick, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, comment if you've learned anything. Let me know what you want to see. So 3rd and 5, we've talked about the struggle so far. We're watching Fred Warner. This is so weird to point him out, and this happened a few times, but for the Vikings to target Fred Warner is just insane. But the fact that it worked is even crazier. So that's a wide receiver, and it's Powell. It's not like a household name, but we've seen Warner cover this route all day. Again, I think he's just getting way too much ground, where we'll see it from the end zone view. I don't know if he's just anticipating he's going to go one way, but it doesn't work. From the end zone angle, let's watch Eric Armstead. So we talk about pressures and sacks quite a bit today so far. Armstead is in Cousins' grill right now. Like, he is there in his face. Like, that's not an easy throw, but it's not enough to affect the quarterback. You can see Greenlaw. He's trying to get in the way of the throwing lane. He's not really guarding anybody. And then, of course, going back to Warner. Like, he's trying to feel the wide receiver and stare at the quarterback too. And him opening up right now, just the way that he opens up there, like, he's toast. Like, he's just not going to be able to make that play against anybody, let alone a wide receiver. And that's the difference. Just real head-scratching performance from 54. And not over the course of the game, just like 4 or 5 plays. But these 4 or 5 plays, like, those were the difference. Okay, so just one again on 1st down. It's 2nd and long. This is their best against your best. And their best wins. That's not a Steve Wilks issue right there, right? Like, he's putting his best player on their best target and expecting him to win, which has happened time and time again for the last 4 years. Hawkinson runs a little shake route, gives him a head fake. Again, Warner has the awareness to be able to see the quarterback and play the receiver, but it just didn't work this game. I think it's just that simple, right? Maybe Greenlaw's able to get here, but that's not on him. That is 54 all the way. And if we want to talk about the pressure, there's a lot of money being invested. It just wasn't there. Is this a Wilks issue right here, where 54 isn't able to cover a tight end? Like, if you come into the game, before the game, and say, hey, we're going to match up our best on theirs, and if they win, that's the game, whatever, you'll take it, right? And unfortunately, it just didn't work out for the 49ers. All right, so this is right after Isaiah Oliver gave up a 3rd down, and on the next play, he crashes right into the tight end. So obvious pick play by the offense. Here's Isaiah Oliver, Fred Warner. They're going to play the crossers. Warner is just patrolling the middle, right? So he has Hawkinson. And now Oliver, I mean, more than likely, if he doesn't dive in right now, if he doesn't crash right now, he has to bubble over the top. He does not do either. And that's how you get a wide receiver wide open. All right, so it's 22-17. 49ers are still in the game. Think about everything that I've said. 22-17. Top of the screen. 1st and 10. These are the plays that you just have to make, right? These are the plays where you have to be in a position to make a play. But KJ Osborne is like, you can't blame Steve Wilks for giving up a 9-yard reception on 2nd and 1 in the 4-minute offense to KJ Osborne. Like, I don't know. Like, Lenore just has to cover that, right? Maybe this type of game is what gets the 49ers on the phone looking for more cornerback help. And now it's 2nd and 1, which the Vikings were able to convert. and now the 49ers lose about 2 minutes off the clock instead of forcing an incomplete pass. Okay, 3rd and 3. You have a chance to get off the field once again. So watching the slot here, Isaiah Oliver ends up holding Addison, and they're still able to get the first down here. So another play where you have a chance, and now you lose another minute and a half, 2 minutes. Like, that's tough, right? It is a good route, but you have to have somebody that you are confident enough in to run man coverage, because next week, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Then you get Jacksonville, who has Calvin Ridley, who runs a lot of slot routes, who runs a lot of X and Z routes. It's probably going to be from condensed splits. Then it's the Seahawks, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, the Bucks, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the Eagles, Devonta Smith, AJ Brown. Like, they're going to have to figure out if these guys can cover, because with how Steve Wilks is playing, with this aggressive mindset that he wants to blitz, you better have some players on the back end that can cover. And based on this game, based on some of the coverages against the Browns, like, as the 49ers are continuing to step up in class with the receivers that they're playing, and it's not Daniel Jones anymore, it's not Kenny Pickett, it's not going to be Phillip Walker. There's going to be quarterbacks who are going to be able to execute and make these throws, so puts a lot of pressure on your secondary. They're going to have to take a long look in the mirror and assess. So I know it's not fun, watching your favorite team get their butt kicked up and down and then watching it again, but these are the things that we have to talk about, right? We know the 49ers are going to be a playoff team. We know that they're going to probably make a run, but we need to figure out the process and not so much the results. So, like, 5-0 was all well and good, but Nick Bosa said, like, hey, the NFL will humble you very quick. And that's what's kind of happened the last couple weeks. I think the unfortunate part is, like, you can't just go to the corner store and say, hey, I want this cornerback. What team out there is going to be willing to part ways with a top-tier corner? Broncos have said, like, we're not moving past Surtain. Everybody keeps bringing up Jalen Johnson from the Bears. Like, the 49ers, they're not going to be the only team in the market also looking for a cornerback, too. I brought up some lower-level names, like maybe Washington, Sellers. The Titans have some young guys who I would definitely reach out to, especially with, the relationship Rand Carthen there. It's not going to be easy, and I'm not saying, like, whether it's Lenore, whether it's Oliver, like, they're going to just struggle as much as they did against Minnesota. But the 49ers are either banking on the pass rush stepping up, so maybe they add an edge rusher, or you fix the cornerback issue, which, to me, like, think about it. Lenore, like, he's a 5th rounder. He's already exceeded expectations. He's already played above whatever his rookie contract should have been. So the fact that they've gotten by this long with him starting is, if anything, it's a credit to him. But again, thanks for watching. That's going to be all. I'm going to get back to the offense after this, but I think it's important to highlight some of the defensive issues, because it's not all Steve Wilks. Missed tackles, coverage not in position, pressure getting there, but they're not able to convert those into sacks. And the blitzing at times was questionable, but I think the players have to make plays too. So it's not really on one person. And I think we're going to learn a lot about the 49ers over these next couple weeks as far as their defense and if they are really at the level that they think they are, which is pretty much what Nick Bosa said. So again, thanks for watching. I'll be back with the offense. Like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if there's anything else. I think on the offensive video, I'm going to focus on more of the offensive line.